What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with this physique update from Anthony Williams. So he won his IFBB Pro card at the Arnold, Ohio earlier this year. And even that physique back then, that screamed out loud that this was something special. And we are all aware on how good of a coach John Jewett really is. So Anthony Williams has been working with John for many months now. And this is him, above 300 pounds, while maintaining a very good off-season condition and looking very massive. So there are some IFBB pros who just have this elite structure, and Anthony is definitely one of them. Big arms, ideal waistline, amazing overall X-frame and V-taper because of those humongous quads and amazing quad sweep. So his pro debut that is scheduled sometime next year. And this will be one of the most anticipated pro debuts of next year. So that 300 pounds that was initially a new territory for Anthony Williams. But you can see he isn't either at a high body fat or holding a whole lot of water at this point, which is definitely a very good sign for him and his pro debut, also for his future. Now from the front, Anthony had such amazing polish even when he was turning pro, when he won his pro card at the Arnold Amateur earlier this year. And this physique that he has been working on for these past many months, it will be a totally different one in all the better ways when he finally steps on the stage, whenever he decides to do that. Maybe the Arnold Ohio next year, that can be a good stage to make his pro debut and make a name for himself. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. Next up, we have the first physique update from the former Arnold Classic champion in Classic, Wesley after getting that hernia surgery. So this was posted a few weeks ago. So about 4 weeks after the surgery, and he must be looking a lot leaner and more muscular now compared to this look here. So watching the Olympia as a spectator this time, that must have fired him up big time to bring a better package whenever he steps on the stage next, which is most probably gonna be at the Arnold Ohio next year. So last year was the highest point of Wesley's career so far. He saw the climax of his career after he beat Ramondino and Ors, also Brion, at the Arnold Ohio and then at the Arnold UK. And the man was being portrayed as the guy who was gonna give Chris Bumstead a run for his money at the Olympia last year. But what happened? That was total opposite of that. The judges did not even find him good enough, competitive enough, to even make him stand next to Chris Bumstead. And he went from a guy who was gonna push Chris Bumstead for the win that year to dropping down to 8th place. And that was a very tough pill to swallow. And that really makes you question his future as a classic physique competitor. Not because he isn't a great bodybuilder. The Welsh has some of the craziest body parts in the entire classic physique. But that doesn't seem to be his strength, considering that the legs on him, they do not match up to his upper body. So the same thing happened at the Arnold Ohio this year and then in Detroit. So the biggest question when it comes to Wesley is that, can he actually make some significant changes, some visible improvements in his lower half, especially in that quad sweep, knowing that no matter how much bigger he gets, during the off-season, he has to come down to that same weight to make the weight cutoff for Classic. So Wesley was extremely happy with the package that he brought at this year's Detroit Pro, which was his last show. But he still wasn't able to beat Matt Greggo, because Matt had a better overall X-frame, or I'm gonna say a better balance overall. Although Wesley had a crazy looking upper body. So with the way Classic Physique division has been improving so much and so rapidly, Wesley kind of finds himself in a very tricky spot. He cannot switch to open bodybuilding because it's very uncertain whether he can ever grow those legs up to a point where he become competitive in the men's open. And he's restricted so much by the weight limit in Classic. So talking about Wesley and Matt, as both these guys went toe-to-toe multiple times, and Matt is also one of those guys who is kind of in a difficult spot right now. Now, he had an amazing year. He came into this year's Arnold, looking very impressive and placing top 3 behind Logan Franklin and Mike Sommerfeld. And then he went on to win Detroit Pro, beating the best ever version of Wesley Wazers. And I for one was expecting him to be in that top 6 at the Olympia this year, but he dropped down to 10th spot. So this is another guy who made the switch from men's physique into classic just a couple of years back, and so far he has done amazingly in terms of putting on more muscle, more mass in all the right areas. But that being said, I have always maintained this stance. The way this guy is put up together, he might be an amazing open competitor, and his ability to put on muscle and mass, and that too at such a fast pace, that is one of the best out there. So we just saw him competing at Hurricane Pro this year in the post-Olympia tour, where he once again lost to Justin Badurina. So let me know what you guys think. Should Matt make the switch to the open bodybuilding, or should he stick to classic physique for one more year? So Diego Galindo, who became the new superstar in classic physique this year by just coming out of nowhere and beating so many veterans of the sport, placing top 6. So the man wasted no time after the Olympia this year, jumped straight into Mexico Pro and got a very dominating win that got him 10 points for the Olympia qualification for next year. So another pro win will guarantee his Olympia ticket for next year. Now I have no idea why people aren't really talking about him or mentioning him in the list of some of the best posers who are currently competing in the IFBB. So that right there is one hell of a physique, and his transitions are so outstanding. So if he was able to look this dry and ripped at such a terrible lighting in Mexico, you can have a very good idea on how good the man really was in person. So Diego does need more arms and more chest thickness, especially in those side shots. So this guy is still fairly young and already in the top 6 in the world. And if he has some room to grow to get bigger before he hits the weight cap, Diego is gonna get better overall, and he can be very competitive among the top 5 at the Olympia level. Now we know the top 5 is very hard to crack, as all those guys who beat him are absolutely insane. But we can see the talent as well as the potential in this guy too. And the man is definitely the second best classic physique athlete from Brazil right now. So Akim Williams checks in just a little over 5 weeks out from the Big Man Weekend, where he's gonna try to defend his title and also secure an early Olympia spot. So the Big Man Weekend, that is going to be the last open show of this year. And last year we saw the absolute best of Akim Williams at this particular show. So this past Olympia was one of those times where Akim was simply off, because if he really was 100%, he would have 100% beaten guys like Rubial, Regan and Ors. Now we can all agree that Akim at his best, he's a superior bodybuilder than all of these above mentioned names. So another 5 weeks, that is plenty of time to get things right and fixed. As you can already see, he's right back into heavy lifting 10 days post-show. So sometimes what we see one day out from all these guys, that doesn't translate on the stage. So Akim did post a 1 day out physique update, a side chest, from the Olympia this year, which is undoubtedly his best shot. And the conditioning here, that looks pretty damn crazy. So winning Spain, that can set him up very nicely, and that can give him a head start for 2026. Because the way the competition is improving, and at such a fast pace, Akim will have to bring his absolute best and his A game in order to be top 10 again. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.